John Rambo has finally returned to movie theaters worldwide. If you are familiar with John Rambo and the First Blood movies, then you would know what you expect when you see John Rambo. But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, despite Sylvester Stallone's attempt to reboot the character for a new age and new generation of moviegoers, this movie is quite disappointing. Hi, my name is IDK Revy, and on my channel, I watch things so you don't have to. So consider subscribing below, hit that notification bell, leave a comment in the comment section letting me know what your favorite John Rambo movie was. So about 40 years ago, First Blood came out, which introduced the now iconic John Rambo. John Rambo was a war veteran who was just passing through a small town, trying to integrate back into the society after being away for so long. And while he was back, there was a couple of police officers that decided to rough him up a bit. And because they decided to rough him up again, they triggered something in Rambo's brain that made him reminisce the times when he was a prisoner of war, which ultimately made him snap, going on a killing spree. A pretty simple premise, and a very great movie that came out, First Blood. And then after First Blood, they decided to take the character of John Rambo and turn him into this macho, very masculine 1980s, 1990s action hero where he would go out and he would just go on rescue missions, and he just was unstoppable because he was John Rambo. So fast forward 40 years later, and John Rambo, played by Sylvester Stallone, is still in that same archetype. He's this invincible, old, smarter than everybody character who just can't seem to die, and you have to make sure you don't trigger something inside of his brain, because if you do, he can go on a killing spree and nothing can stop him. So John Rambo is an old and tired man who is living his days out in the country, just, doing what old people do in retirement, waiting to die. So while he's waiting to die, his niece, who lives with him, is trying to reconnect with her father. And she wants to reconnect with her father because she wants to just do like most kids that never really met their father, have a conversation with him. And despite Rambo telling her not to, she decides to travel to Mexico to meet her father. And once she meets her father, she realizes her father really hates her. She gets picked up by the cartel, sold into sex slavery, and ultimately she dies. So while that is going on, John Rambo goes to save her. When he tries to save her, he gets beaten to a pulp. And then 10 minutes later, he's miraculously healed because he can't kill Rambo. And then the young girl, his niece, dies, which ultimately triggers Rambo to go back and kill the cartel. So that's the Last Blood movie in a nutshell. It is very disappointing to see Rambo like this. It was a poorly acted and very low budget film that doesn't really capture the magnificence of John Rambo. He wasn't this super masculine archetype, and he wasn't John Rambo from First Blood. It was just Stallone trying to show everybody that despite being old, he still got it. Similar to his counterpart, Arnold Schwarzenegger, who will be back next month with Terminator. So First Blood was a great movie, but Last Blood is the last movie, and it should be the last movie because it doesn't really offer us anything new with John Rambo, but it really makes me wish that they had went with a better story arc for John Rambo, a better send-off for him, because John Rambo, as iconic as he is, deserves much better. And that is my review of Last Blood. Peace.